Friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to cover new things you can do in Squarespace because they have released their newest editing software called Fluid Engine. It's a whole new system of how you can edit and design content on pages for desktop and mobile. So it's a really big update. These are 8 to 10 things that you were unable to do before. I probably covered 10, but I got 8 on my list right now. These are things that you could not do before in Squarespace without custom code or heavy customizations. Now you could do these things natively with just a few clicks. All right, so we're gonna hop into my demo site and bring this to life. First and foremost, so let me just show you a little bit of what Fluid Engine looks like. If I click into the editor, you're gonna see, as soon as it loads, you're gonna see that Fluid Engine is this kind of like, as soon as I drag, there's all these squares and like little like rectangles behind here. So you could drag the content, put it anywhere on the page specifically where you want it. Probably other videos and content to break it down for you. But let's go through the list now. So number 1 is going to be buttons and button styles. Before, you were not able to do this, but now you can, where you can have a main call to action and a transitional call to action right next to each other without having to customize it. So you can go into here, into an editor. I'll show you how to do this. Let me double click into the editor here. Once it loads, you can see here, this button is set with the primary style, and this button is now set with this new feature that's secondary. They also have a third, so you can set up to 3 different styles, which is pretty cool. And then they could all be small, medium, large. So you have a lot more built-in features, but just by selecting secondary, I've already adjusted it. So now it looks like a transitional call to action. And this could be the black button here could be the main call to action. Number 2, let's talk about layers. With Fluid Engine, you have this way of layering things on top of each other that just was not possible before in the old editor. So you can see here, I have this this stretched out, elongated like circle, this black circle here. I have a text box here, and then I have a summary here. So all these items are layered on top of each other. So if I move this up, you'll see it goes above the text or it goes above the section here. If I push it back, it'll go back. And so you can layer basically anything on top of each other, which is a really cool feature. It gives you a lot of control. So I could have this text block here. If I want to add a button, let's say, for example, I could come in here, add a button, and I could throw this button right here over this content, just like this. So it gives you a lot of control of how you could customize things and make it unique to your own site. The third thing I would highlight is going to be edge-to-edge design. This is a really cool feature because as you can see here, even with this like elongated circle, it goes all the way to the side here, but I could also pull it all the way to the edge. Really cool feature that actually looks really nice if you say had like a store, an e-commerce brand. You could easily have men's and women's built out. Again, you're layering items, so you could put a button on top of an image wherever you like. You could have them fill the screen. If I want to drag this over a bit, I could. If I want to drag this one over a bit as well, I could. And it could look really nice however you like. But it's really easy to fill the screen with content to your preference. Now, this is a big one. Number 4, mobile design. You can completely have one design for desktop and another design for mobile. And this tip is going to be so valuable for some of you because the way you can work with this is actually pretty cool. So I'm going to click on the mobile viewfinder. When you're working in Fluid Engine, what I always recommend is that you set up the desktop how you like, get it finished, finalized, and then go to mobile and design it. Because as you can see here, I did not do that. And so the design here is really funky and weird. So depending on what I want, I'd have to like sort through this and get it exactly as I like. But what I'll do right now is I'll drag this down and then I'll drag this up to fill the space here. And then the button, it looks like, let me drag this down a little bit more. It looks like the button is hidden, so I'll just do that. Perfect. So now we have men's and women. This is a pretty big text block, so I'll just move that up. and then I'll actually click, and this is one of the next tips, which I'll show you more in a second. Click and drag. I could just click and highlight all of those, drag them down to where I want, and then have that right there at the top. So you could see just like that, I designed it. And when I go back to desktop stays exactly as it was. So you could have two separate feels. Now, this is a bonus tip. Let me break into this. I'm getting excited. So let's just say you just want to have like one of these. You don't want to have this men's section. Well, with custom code, you could like hide elements, but there also is this factor where if I click on this image here and drag this up, I can actually just cover other elements. Now, this isn't a best practice because you have all this stuff loading, and long-term, that's just not really the best situation. But if you need to just hide like one element, it's really easy to do so. The other cool part too is you could just drag it to be as small as possible. And then from there, what I would do is I just put them all in like a corner or whatever. I would literally just make it as tiny as possible to like one cube. It looks like the button won't let me go any smaller. But then I would click and drag this section here all the way up to where I want it. Make sure it covers the other content. And then drag this button right here. Boom. And then this section is designed. Maybe I want this to sit here instead. And then I could pull this up to the top. There's a little bit of space there. So what I would do is for this section, I would make sure, let's double check. And boom, now we have this section exactly as we want to design it. Again, I would be very mindful not to try to hide a bunch of stuff. Like you don't want 80% of your website hidden or maybe even more than 5%. But if you just need to hide one element without custom coding, you just throw it behind another block and you're good to go. Now, we're going to pause for a quick commercial break. I do want to say I do have a Fluid Engine like intro course, like a starter kit. It's a few dollars, but it'll help you get started up and running. I'll teach you how to build sections just like this with ease so that your site looks beautiful on desktop and mobile, and make sure it's optimized properly, because when you are getting started with this, there are a lot of options, and I've touched over 1,000 websites, so it's easy for me to see where items should go and where they shouldn't go. So if you have any questions or you want more design options like this, please check out the starter kit below. It'll be a huge resource for you, be a few dollars, and literally save you hours and hours and hours of time. Now, the next tip, I believe I'm on number 5. I could be wrong, but the next tip is this. No longer do you need spacers. So as you can see here, this section, there's no custom code. This is literally just built where there's an image here, an image here, image here, an image here. And as you can see, this one's like just thrown off the edge, and it's being pushed to fill the screen on that side. Perfect, great. No need for spacers. So when you add in a block, I will add in, let's say, let's do an image block. As soon as I add it in, I just drag it where I want it, and I set it to the size I want it to be, large or small. Again, I could layer items so it could go behind this, and then I just select a photo and I am literally good to go. Boom. Let me add that and we're set. Now, this brings up a few tips, and these things are going to be so important and so valuable. Again, these are things that just were not possible before. One thing you notice is this image is kind of like leaving some dead space. Well, they thought about it. So if you hit edit and then you go into design, well, there's this fill option, and then there's a shape option. These are beneficial for a few reasons. I'm just going to do fill for now. It doesn't need to be overly fancy. And boom, we're good to go. So just like that, we've added in this image exactly as we want. Really solid design, like a lot of options within the design. So really, really cool. One thing I want to highlight is, remember back up here, I have this circle rectangle thing. Well, I put this here as an image. Now let me show you how this works, because this is actually really cool and will save you a ton of time if you're trying to add shapes into your site or kind of background colors for different sections. So let me show you this process. So the first thing is I'm going to add in an image. You could upload just a little square of any color you want for your brand and design. So if you go into a Figma or a Photoshop, design 5 tiny squares. They don't have to be big. The smaller the file size, the better. You could upload those, and then I'll go to select from library, and you can see this like square here, it's just black. I'll hit add, and you're gonna see it's pretty tiny. Like at least in the, well, actually it's growing with the page. Let's see, fit. Okay, cool. So it's just a black square, like tiny little square that I took a screenshot of. You can see it's not filling the whole space, but what you can do, because it's a color, there'll never be pixelation because it's just a solid color. If it's a gradient, it would, any other thing, it would, but because it's a solid color, it just stretches with the image. And what you could do from there is you could go in here and do a ton of stuff. So you set the color before, you could set it to a shape, you could have the shape be anything you want. As you build this out, let's just say, for example, I want it to be this. As you build this out, like maybe you drag it and you want it to like fill. So you could stretch it if you want it to do that, which is a really cool feature. Again, with the layering options, you have a ton of control. And so I could place that there and then move it back on different elements. So obviously this text is black on black, so it's hard to see. Let me just make it like that. Cool, good to go for now. But yeah, it's really easy to add in shapes and colors as backgrounds and different sections. One thing I would definitely recommend is like if we go back up to, no, I'll do it here. I will actually do it here. I want to do this for you guys because I want you to see this. I'm gonna hit add section. I'm just gonna start with a blank section. I'm gonna change the default to be background color light, perfect. And then I just wanna drag colors into this. So give me one sec. All right, so as you can see here, I just lightly threw this together, but you can see these image blocks as I'm using as colors in the background give a lot of texture and feel to the page. Obviously there's like contrast in the colors that is not the best, but I just took this image, I had it fill the section. So I came in here and then I did design fill, and then I adjusted it to the height I wanted, which is nice, boom, just like that. Added in a text block, added in a text block, added in a button. Boom, easy, simple, just design a beautiful section. I hope they add in a color feature so that you could easily adjust the colors at any point instead of having to use an image block, but this is a great workaround for now. All right, the next thing they really thought about that I'm very happy about is that if you want to say move all these elements down because you want to add an element above it, you would almost have to click and drag every element down. But what they did is they've given you this ability to do like a mass select. So if you click and drag and highlight everything you want to select, just like that, you can click and drag all those items to exactly where you want them to go. And then when you hit the plus sign, you could add in, say like we're gonna add an icon in above this. I can just click and drag this up here. Boom, just like that. And then place the icon above. Need to drag it one more. There we go. Boom. And then I'd be able to place the icon there with ease. I don't have to reposition every single element individually. I'm really looking forward to doing a copy and paste feature. I don't know if they've planned on that yet, but I really, really, really hope they do a copy and paste feature. That would be amazing. So then you could literally just create something or a certain section with like, let's say this was like a icon section. I could create it, copy it, paste it 3 times and have 3 columns built out in literally a few seconds. All right, so I have 2 more big notes for you that I do want to cover. I don't know what number I'm on, maybe number 7, maybe number 8, but the next one is going to be you can still use, as of today, the classic editor. This is really useful if you just need to add something in with ease and you don't want to overcomplicate it. So if I hit add section and scroll down to the bottom, it says add blank. And I do know on some other sites, it actually gives you all the other options you used to have before to see those with the add blank or the classic editor. So as soon as I click on that, I'll go in here and I'll change the background color just for fun, cool. And then I'll go in here and say new section, boom, let's make this, boom, and then center it, boom. Now it's large text and it's center and the section is done. I don't really have to think about it, overthink about it. It's really easy for me to create something like this, be able to adjust it with ease if I want the section small, medium, or large. Really simple process. Now, I don't know if they're gonna keep this long-term. I hope they do, but as of right now, you still have access to the old editor. So on any individual page, you could literally be using both. And I actually recommend that. If it's easier just to build it with a classic editor and get it up and running, later on you could upgrade it. You'll see this little like upgrade option. But once you upgrade it and hit save, you can't go back. So things to know while you're working on your site. All right, my last tip, and it's probably one of the most important ones, you can now make your site look so much more modern with ease. And it's based on the principle of like flex boxes. So let me show you what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of fancy words here that I don't want to get into, but just keep it simple as possible. A long time ago with Squarespace, 2 months ago, you were not able to put like text at the top here and then force text to justify at the bottom with an image on the side or like in any kind of form and fashion that you wanted. Now you can. And so we have this image justified to the right, filling up the entire section. Then we have a text box down here, text box up here, beautiful, easy, simple. So if I wanted to, I could probably drag this up here and then down here, add in a button. So let me click that and then drag a button to this spot here. Boom, super simple, really easy to build. Let me change this so I get all right, so you can see super branded section, and it feels really nice. It just feels really elegant, really well put together. I could delete this. Again, there's this like multi-select, so I could easily click and like drag multiple items around. But if I just want to drag one, I could drop this here. And it's cool too because I could control these text boxes individually with ease. So I could drag this back up here, and maybe I want this to be shorter or longer. Maybe I want this to just be a little bit longer or shorter. No more spacers like I mentioned before. There's just a lot of control that you have on the page to design sections out exactly as you want. Beautiful, and just like that. So we just designed a really fancy section with just a few clicks. So if you got value from this video, or you're looking to really create a beautiful site with this new Fluid Engine system, definitely check out the starter kit below. It'll get you off and running. Plus there's some bonuses involved with that as well. And the prices will go up as I add more and more content to the starter kit. What's cool about any starter kit I sell is that if I update it, you still have access to all the new updates that I get. So it's not just a dated product. As the product gets better over time, your entry price guarantees you get updates to you get the benefits of any future updates within those packages. So if you have any questions, drop them below. If you got value from the video, hit the like button. And you already know, subscribe if you want more content like this. We publish 3 videos a week. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.